Hey guys, welcome back. It is TechLock here. New banner released last night for Fire Emblem Heroes, so you know the drill. New banner, new heroes, reaction, thoughts. Let's get into this and not waste any more time. Alright, so I will repeat this until my lungs fall out of my chest. Artwork, recently in Fire Emblem Heroes, on point. It's great. Again, I love the attention to detail. I like that IS is going out and getting great artists and really putting effort into that side of the game. It's just a nice cherry on top, making the gameplay that much more enjoyable when you have great artwork to accompany it. And so our first hero is going to be Yarna.
I'm the last of my people.
Alright, so we're getting another beast character, and following suit after his mother Pan was introduced, you're going to see Yarna. It's interesting, this is, I believe, the first banner that has a beast introduced that does not a beast banner. So he's the only beast unit on this banner. And he comes with a great kit to start with. I think the highlight of his kit is his weapon, so Bunny Fang. In addition to adding speed +3, it's also effective against cavalry, just like his mother. Also, it has a built-in conditional special spiral, which is great because special spiral cannot be put on cavalry units, and he is a cavalry unit. So I think that skill is pretty good. Also, he has, I believe, like his mother, if unit initiates combat, inflicts attack and defense -4 on foe, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. And based on his kit here, it looks like he's going to have a ton of speed, so he will be doubling, and as long as he's transformed, the opponent cannot counterattack back. Attack speed solo, that's an amazing ace skill, and I believe it was locked to Legendary Erica before, so it's nice to have attack speed solo in the permanent summoning pool, even if it is 5-star locked. Maybe a little more chance to get that if that's a skill you're interested in, because it's very useful for a lot of units. Escape route, it's an okay beast skill. It's definitely going to be replaced for anyone who summons him. Then odd speed wave. So with his weapon, with his A skill and his C skill, on odd turns, it looks like on top of his base speed, he will be getting +3, +6, +6, so +15 speed. So your boy is going to be really fast here. Excuse me. So, because he's cavalry, he's going to have probably average attack, I would assume maybe around 34, 35, fast speed, and then probably, and considering BST on cavalry tends to be quite low, he will have pretty, I'm assuming he's going to have decent defense and pretty poor resistance. So take what you can get. You really don't want him to get hit that much, and this kit is set up for him to attack in, especially with Gale Force here. I would there's definitely a really good build in my mind that I think would be perfect here. All you gotta do is replace the B skill and add a Sacred Seal, but I won't spoil it because I am going to come at you with a build video for these units. But yeah, I would use him, go in, attack, proc Gale Force, and get out of there. But if you build him correctly, you should be proccing Gale Force every single turn. But apart from that, great unit. I'm already impressed off the first unit here. That's an amazing animation, by the way. Alright, so next we have Kiel, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm just going to call her KJ for simplicity's sake. Alright, so KJ here. This one is probably the more underwhelming units on the banner. Barrier Lance, I mean, it makes sense because you had Vanguard Lance come out on Thea probably about a month ago at this point. No, 2 months ago? My timelines are hella confused. So, Barrier Lance, basically what Vanguard Lance is, except with resistance instead of defense. It makes sense. You had Safeguard and Barrier Blade come out with Lean and Sylvia, so now they're doing that with the Lances. And just like Barrier Blade and Safeguard. One's 5-star locked and one is in the 4-star pool. So it looks like this Barrier Lance is going to be 5-star locked, and then you'll have Vanguard Plus on Thea, which you can get pretty easily if you summon on a blue. Also, this Lance completely puts to bed original Berkut's use. I mean, he is still easier to obtain because of the Grail system, but since Grails are, in my opinion, still pretty hard to come by, especially if you're working on a merge project, I probably don't want to be wasting 100 Grails here and there just to pull a Lance. So, while it does put it to bed, I can still see some uses for Berkut, but yeah, that boy has said his final word in Fire Emblem Heroes, in my opinion. Again, if you follow my videos at all, you know that I definitely have no use or care for the AR defense or AR offense A skills. I think that IS puts way too much, or they value them a lot higher than the actual players do. I don't see them very often when I play Aether Raids. I don't see people inheriting them. I mean, maybe people will keep it on Naga just because she is basically built for arena or Aether Raids. But apart from that, I don't see people summoning just to get these skills and just to have them on their Aether Raid teams. And Bold Fighter, it's a skill that is kind of saturated at this point. I mean, when it came out on Winter Lissa, it was a great skill, but I believe there's like 8 or 9 units in the pool. And we also just came off the Naga banner, which I know most people in this most people in the community summon for Naga, especially with her importance as regards to Aether Raids. And if you were summoning for Naga, you probably got a Brave Hector, and Brave Hector has Bold Fighter. So most people already have the skill at their disposal, so no one will probably be summoning for KJ just to get the Bold Fighter skill. Also, if we go back a little bit, she looks like an astronaut. I don't know. I just don't like this character design. I'll just say that. It looks like she's some anime astronaut out of some manga. It's definitely interesting to say the least. Not a practical armor build if you ask me. It looks like she would take 2 steps and fall over from how top heavy. So
I will take back everything I lost.
Yeah, definitely low on my summoning list.
Don't forget me.
Alright, so now we have Bratty. I believe is the correct pronunciation of his name. Another staff unit. Not too much to say about Bratty here. He doesn't have anything special as far as his weapon or his passive recovery skill. It's just slow plus, which are on a couple healers in the game. I know, off the top of my head, I know Mist comes with it. And I don't see people running slow plus because there's just a ton of pref staffs that are so much better. And most people have Brave Veronica at this point, and her staff does this and a whole lot more, a lot better. Recover plus, it's a great, I mean, it's a great recovery skill, but I don't know if people are dying to have recovery skills or healing skills that just deal with HP. I know Restore is highly coveted just because of Panic and being able to nullify those effects. Heavenly Light, again, a special that's been around in the game. And I guess Heavenly Light synergizes well with attack, res, push, seeing that if he does attack and is inflicted at 1 point of damage and he procs Heavenly Light, he gets that damaged HP healed back up, and he can proc the effects of attack, res, push again. So I can see that synergizing a little bit. Infantry Rush. Again, and I'm going to repeat this on the next unit as well, because infantry skills, and while Infantry Rush looks great because if unit attacks greater than foe's attack, grant special cooldown charge +1. However, you don't really see many infantry units being run. There's so much more value in armored units, in flyer units, in cavalry units, that you rarely ever run into infantry units. I mean, the infantry unit that I use probably the most is still Brave Celica. You know, I have an affinity for her. She pops up a lot in skills that I would, or in my build videos and when I reference talking about infantry units. So it's going to be hard just with the lack of strong infantry units running around. And I mean, this skill would really work well with Brave Celica just because she does have a fairly substantial attack and would be able to proc this infantry rush skill against most opponents in the game. But apart from that, I think people would pull in Brady for fodder unless he has some stats. And again, we haven't seen the stats, but unless he has stats that are really mind-blowing and are setting records for healers, as far as BST is concerned, I don't see people putting a ton of investment in the character unless you're a huge Awakening fan and you like the character. All right. It's also odd, I'm going to go back 1 second because I forgot to mention this, and seeing Brady's 15 damage here, not fairly high output. I'm not going to kill most things in the game with 15 times 2. And I doubt he'll be doubling most. I don't expect his speed to be very high at all, especially since none of his skills have anything to do with speed. And he's also trying to slow down other units. That kind of procs in my mind that he would be a slow healer in and of itself. But attack res push, unless you're going to put... I mean, this B slot is open, but you'd have to fodder off Jenny or some other unit with Wrathful Staff, or maybe you have an extra Brave Veronica from the Hero Fest that came out a couple months ago. Put a Wrathful Staff on him, or refine his main staff to be to have the Wrathful refine. You're not going to have a ton of use out of attack. So that's upsetting that it sees you have to kind of put more investment than what they're giving you here to actually make use of a skill they're giving you. In attack res push. So, I mean, he has the room to inherit Dazzling Staff and then refine for Wrathful Staff, or vice versa. Either one works. But unless you put Wrathful Staff on him, he's probably not going to have, not going to get the full benefits of attack res push here. Sorry to backtrack, on to the next unit. At this point in the broadcast, a massive storm cell rolled through the area of this recording and cut off the power, really interrupting TechLock's banner review and breakdown. We will return to our regularly scheduled programming shortly. Alright, well, welcome back, I guess. Terribly sorry for that interruption. Did not expect the storm to come completely in. It came out of nowhere and took out all the power in my house. So, unfortunately, I had to take a little break from making the video, but we're back, and now here with the final unit on the banner, Na.
Leave the fighting to me. I can change it to a dragon, you know. I'll bring peace to this world.
Alright, so for Na, the first thing that stands out is that she has bonus doubler, which is, like Yarna's A skill, previously only locked to legendary units. Legendary Roy, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But again, it's nice to have a skill like that that's in the standard summoning pool, especially for people who know how valuable this skill is and how powerful this can be on certain builds. It's a little bit more available than it previously was, so if you're looking for fodder, now you have bonus doubler available. It also synergizes really well with Oracle's Breath. Now Oracle's Breath, if a bonus is granted by a skill like Rally or Hone active on the unit, the foe cannot make a follow-up attack. That's great because with bonus double you're going to be trying to get as many buffs on her as possible, and it also activates her weapon's effect. So the synergy there is nice. And rallies, hones, any type of buffs, it's very, very simple and very, very easy to get those on any unit in the game. So the weapon skill should not be hard to proc at all. She also comes with Bonfire. It makes me think that she's going to have a pretty high defense. Quick Riposte in her B skill. So just between the skills I've listed so far, I think she's going to have very slow speed, probably 21 to 24-ish speed. But with bonus doubler and quick riposte, you could probably set her up to be a tank of some sorts and buff her up. And with quick riposte, she'll double the unit without having being doubled herself. Interestingly enough, typically you make tanks out of armored units, and we do have tons of armored dragons and armored units that are already decent tanks in themselves. So it's a great kit, but I don't know if an infantry unit is the right one to put it on, because I don't know how many people are making tanks out of infantry units. Also, the C skill is another very situational skill, and it looks great, except for the fact that it's only given to infantry allies, which I've stated previously. There's not many infantry allies used in the meta. Typically, you see a lot of cavalry, armored, and flyers. And to be quite honest, IS has not given us many infantry units recently. Typically, a lot of those banners are going to give us new flying units, cavalry units, and armored units. I mean, even looking at the last bridal banner, there was 3 flyers and 2 cavalier units, not an infantry in sight. So I don't see the major potential of the skill, just because infantry units are a dying breed in Fire Emblem Heroes. And also, it's not within 2 spaces. The infantry has to be adjacent to this ally, and then with so many aversas, and then the new skills like Sudden Panic coming out, keeping your allies together is going to be a hindrance. So that's another reason why you wouldn't want to use this C skill. But again, situationally, can be very good. I mean, giving units defense and res +2 during combat and a special cooldown charge, that's great. I'll take it. I just wish there wasn't so many hoops to jump through to get it. Honestly, this looks like they took Noe's art and then recolored it. So, probably not the most energy used on that sprite animation. So we're also going to be getting Cynthia as a Grand Hero Battle unit. I believe her Grand Hero Battle comes out on June 13th. Unfortunately, it has been confirmed that she will be a Flying Lance unit, and that pool is just so saturated that there's so many good Lance Flyers out there already that you can use, and people already have a Lance Flyer built up, whether it's Claire, Katria, Est. There's so many to choose from, so another Lance Flyer isn't going to be anything game-shattering. And I'm also giving the track of recent Grand Hero Battle units like Har. I really don't have much hope, if at all, for her skills, so she'll probably be a nice 40 Dragon Flowers and then put back on the bench. Sorry, Cynthia. Okay, but apart from that, it's going to be a new chapter coming out. I'm excited to see how the Asker Trio's journey progresses further into the underworld, and see what kind of writing they come up with. I was actually kind of impressed by the writing in last chapter, so I'm kind of excited to see how the story progresses. And you know me, I'm not a huge story guy. I'm here for the gameplay. And so when I say I'm excited about storyline, that means something. But at the end of the day, probably my reaction, Yarna is a great unit. Na is a great unit, but this Fire Emblem Heroes has been coming up on 2.5 years, and there's so many units in the game that one unit is not going to completely make or break your team. You don't have to have one unit. There's so many team comps. Even Na, for example, if you go back and look at her skills, I mean, yes, this is an insane skill set, but we just got Naga. And if you have a Reinhardt that's buffed up by Divine Fang, even with plenty of buffs from Bonus Doubler, Na is going to be gone. Or if you just run a Dragon Killer, any Falchion user could probably take her out fairly easily. Even the Celica build that I had, the Fire Sweep Celica, will have no trouble dealing with any dragons of any color. So, in my opinion, pull on this banner if you are a huge Awakening fan. I know for a lot of people that was their introduction to the game, and so there's a lot of people who do love Awakening, and I'm very happy they haven't had an Awakening banner in a long time. So if you love the Awakening characters, pull for them. As far as me, will I be summoning? Nah. Alright guys, well that brings us to the end of the new Awakening banner. I know this video is going up a little bit late, it's just because I am still without power because of the storm cell that rolled through. I believe there's around 300,000 people in Dallas without power, and quite a few casualties from the high winds taking a construction crane into a parking garage and apartment building, so keep Dallas in your thoughts. So yeah, I do intend to do a build review for both the this banner and then also the new weapon refines that are coming out, but just because of the whole power issues, those are gonna be coming up a little bit late because right now I have to go download I have to go to like a Starbucks, download the content, come back to my house, do all the recordings, do the editing, and then go back to a Starbucks to upload it because no power means no Wi-Fi. So I appreciate your patience bearing with me for those videos. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you're going to summon on this banner or if you're a huge Awakening fan and like these characters. Or if I missed something in my evaluations, please. If I'm wrong, I always want you guys to point it out. That being said, I'm going to start working on those build videos. Take care.